Hello everyone, this is Dr. Perry Kiles.
Today, I'll be addressing Ethiopia and the gift of the Nile. Human civilizations rose higher and more rapidly along the great rivers of the world, like the Nile River, the Yellow River, the Tigris, Euphrates, and the Indus River. The people of Kemet recognized the river as a true gift. They correlated the Nile River and its bounty with their own fortunes, and rightfully so, since they were dependent on it for water, or mu, as they called it in Kemet. To fully understand the relationship between environment and the evolution of ancient Nile Valley culture, it is necessary to know some geography of the region.
We are standing right now on the Nile River, which ancient Kemetic people referred to this river as Hapi. They called it Hapi. Hapi is the name of the deity in which this body of water embodied. This city that we're in is called Luxor. Luxor comes from Arabic, meaning the palaces. The Greeks gave this region the name Thebes, but the ancients referred to it as Waset. Now, in ancient Egypt, there were specific political localities. For example, we would call it in the United States, where I'm from, we would refer to them as states, but the Greeks referred to them as nomes. The ancient Kemetic people referred to them as Sapet. So we are in the Sapet of Waset, come Thebes, come Luxor. Now, about 3,000 kilometers south is the origins of this river. 3,000 miles, 3,000 kilometers upstream, originating in Lake Victoria. So 3,000 kilometers south, Lake Victoria, the White Nile, the water crashing over the rocks. Then 1,600 kilometers southeast, upstream in Ethiopia, Lake Tana, the Blue Nile, which is where most of this water on the Nile that flows into Egypt originates.
The Nile River is the longest river in the world, flowing 4,100 miles or 6,600 kilometers. Khartoum, Sudan is where the White Nile and the Blue Nile of Ethiopia come together. In antiquity, rich soil called silt flowed within the current of the Nile. The depositing of this rich soil along the riverbank is what made this land fertile on each bank of the Nile. Most of the water that flows into Sudan and Egypt comes from the Blue Nile via the highlands of Ethiopia. Writers in antiquity were well aware of the preeminence of Ethiopia in human history and looked to them for their spiritual and intellectual roots.
Homer's The Iliad, written about 850 BCE, is the first piece of European literature ever written. In the Iliad, Homer wrote in reference to Ethiopia, Zeus had yesterday to oceans bound, set forth to feast with Ethiopia's faultless men, and he was followed there by all the gods. Here, Homer insinuates the preeminence of Ethiopian civilization and culture in antiquity. Consistently, along with genetic and linguistic evidence, European writers of antiquity corroborate the conclusion that the indigenous inhabitants of Ethiopia were the forefathers and foremothers of ancient Kemet. One Greek scholar of antiquity by the name of Diodorus Siculus wrote, "They say also that the Egyptians are colonists sent out by the Ethiopians, Osiris having been the leader of the colony." He continued, "For speaking generally, what is now Egypt, they maintain, was not land but sea when in the beginning the universe was being formed. Afterwards, however, as the Nile during the times of its inundation carried down the mud from Ethiopia, land was gradually built up from the deposit. He then commented on the diffusion of culture down the Nile. He stated, for instance, the belief that their kings are gods, the very special attention which they pay to their burials, and many other matters of a similar nature are Ethiopian practices, while the shapes of their statues and the forms of their letters are Ethiopian. Here, Diodorus is advancing the realization that the divine kingship concept and the Kemetic language have an Ethiopian origin. Evidence from linguistics enables us to chart the origins and evolution of Kemetic culture. The language families tell a story that mainstream Egyptologists tend to ignore. We can trace back cultural origins simply by tracing their linguistic origins. One of the largest of the African linguistic families is the Ethiopic family, which is often referred to as the Afro-Asiatic language family. Arabic, which they call a Semitic language, is spoken throughout northern Africa. Hausa in northern Nigeria, Coptic, Hebrew, and various other ethnic groups and cultures are included in the Ethiopic group. All of these languages have a common origin. That origin is Ethiopia. For a first-hand experience, join one of our tours. The link is in the description box. Thank you for watching.